What if I told you the apocalypse isn't a fiery ball from the sky, or hordes of zombies roaming the streets? What if it's already here, just looking nothing like it does in the movies? Today, we're going to break down 7 signs that the end of the world, as we've always pictured it, may have already begun, and we're simply not noticing it. Stay with us, and you'll discover the disturbing warning signs the modern world is ignoring every single day. And some of these signs are hiding in plain sight, in your news feeds, and even in your daily habits. From childhood through books and movies, we've been taught what the end of the world should look like. A blinding flash on the horizon, an asteroid impact, a deadly virus that turns everyone into monsters. Hollywood has conditioned us to expect a spectacular, dramatic, and most importantly, swift conclusion. But history and science show that great civilizations rarely collapse overnight. Their demise is a long, drawn-out process, a slow accumulation of problems that eventually reach a critical mass. So perhaps our apocalypse isn't a singular event, but a gradual process. Let's look at the signs. So let's begin with the first, and perhaps the least obvious sign: informational collapse. And no, this doesn't mean a scarcity of information. Quite the opposite. We're quite literally drowning in it. The problem is that in this bottomless ocean of data, it's becoming almost impossible to distinguish truth from sophisticated falsehoods. It used to be simpler. There were verifiable facts, and then there were opinions, personal interpretations of those facts. Today, those lines are blurred beyond recognition. Now any claim, no matter how wild, can be presented as undeniable truth, and established scientific facts are easily dismissed as just one opinion or mere propaganda. The primary engine of this chaos is right there in your pocket: social media and its algorithms. Their goal isn't to present you with an objective picture of the world, it's to capture and hold your attention at any cost. And what captures attention best? Strong emotions, anger, fear, a sense of injustice. That's why shocking hoaxes and wild conspiracy theories spread like wildfire, while boring, nuanced truth holds no interest. As a result, each of us finds ourselves trapped in a personal information bubble. Your feed shows you only what confirms your pre-existing views. It feeds your biases and paints anyone who thinks differently as either an enemy or a fool. We stop understanding each other because we quite literally live in different realities. You and even a close friend might watch news about the same event, but see 2 entirely opposite pictures. And this, then, is the essence of the first horseman of our silent apocalypse. It's the destruction of shared reality, the very foundation upon which any society is built. Because if we can't even agree on basic facts, how can we hope to solve complex problems? How can we build a shared future if we don't have a shared present? This is the slow decomposition of the very fabric of society from within, and it's far more terrifying than many cinematic catastrophes. Moving on to our second point, which concerns our only home, Earth. We spend so much time debating online that we risk missing the vital signals our own planet is sending us, and it's no longer just about climate change. That phrase sounds far too mild and vague. Today, scientists are increasingly using a much more alarming term: tipping points. What exactly are these? Imagine pushing a heavy boulder up to the peak of a mountain. You push it, it budges a little, but stays put. But then you make one final push, and the boulder rolls over the edge. That's it. From that moment on, the process is irreversible. It will roll downhill under its own weight, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. The tipping point has been passed. This is precisely what's happening now with certain systems on our planet. The most striking and terrifying example is the melting of permafrost in Siberia and the Arctic. These are vast regions where the soil has been frozen for thousands of years. Within it, like in a massive natural refrigerator, billions of tons of methane, an extremely potent greenhouse gas, are locked away. And now this refrigerator is breaking down. Due to global warming, the permafrost is thawing, releasing methane into the atmosphere. This gas, in turn, further heats the planet, More heat, more thawing, more thawing, more methane. The loop is closed. This is a self-reinforcing cycle of destruction that we've already triggered and which is now incredibly hard to halt. And this isn't the only example. Scientists are also talking about the risk of the Amazon rainforest dying off and turning into a savanna, or the slowing down of ocean currents like the Gulf Stream. These aren't distant threats from science fiction movies. These are mechanisms that are already in motion. Now let's turn our attention to something that hits us directly in our wallets, but whose implications run far deeper. The third crucial indicator we need to consider is the extreme fragility of the global economy. We've built an astonishingly complex and efficient system. Goods from every corner of the globe arrive at our stores. Components for our phones are manufactured in dozens of factories across different continents, and money zips across the planet at the speed of light. It all functions like a perfectly tuned Swiss watch. But there's a critical problem. This intricate mechanism has almost no margin for error, no built-in resilience. Our global system is akin to a gigantic house of cards. It looks impressive, but pull just one card, and the whole structure can tumble down. Consider a recent incident that seems almost absurd in its simplicity. Just one massive container ship stuck for several days in the Suez Canal. A single ship in a single canal. And what was the outcome? A ripple effect swept across the entire world. Factories ground to a halt, lacking essential parts. Goods were delayed for months. Shipping costs skyrocketed, a surge that eventually translated into higher prices on shelves in our stores. This incident served as a stark, perfect illustration of just how dependent we all are on the incredibly thin, taut thread of global supply chains. Historically, nations and businesses maintained significant stockpiles and warehouses, acting as buffers against unforeseen events. However, in the relentless pursuit of maximum efficiency and profit, this practice was largely abandoned. We now operate in a just-in-time delivery world. This means any disruption, whether it's a pandemic, a localized conflict, a natural disaster, or simply a stuck ship, instantly triggers a cascading chain reaction. This inherent fragility is more than just an economic problem. It represents a fundamental systemic vulnerability of our entire modern civilization. It's yet another deepening crack in our collective foundation. And now, for something deeply personal. The fourth sign doesn't thunder with explosions or flash with lightning. It's quiet, almost imperceptible, and you might even be holding it in your hands right now. It's the loneliness epidemic, and it's the strangest paradox of our time. Technology has woven us into a single global network. You might have thousands of social media friends, hundreds of followers. You can connect with people across the globe. But ask yourself a simple question. How many of them could you call at 3 in the morning if real trouble strikes? We've traded depth for breadth. Genuine, strong human connections for superficial, digital contacts. We like vacation photos online, but how often do we actually drop by each other's homes without a special occasion? We live in massive cities, surrounded by millions, yet often don't even know the name of our next-door neighbour. And this isn't just sad, it's dangerous. Loneliness is a silent social erosion. Like acid, it slowly corrodes the foundations of our society. Family, friendship, neighbourliness, a sense of community, all of these are the glue that holds civilization together. And that glue is drying up. Scientists are already sounding the alarm. They compare the health impact of chronic loneliness to smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. It leads to depression, heart disease, and weakened immunity. But even more frightening, lonely individuals, disconnected from society, become easy prey for radical ideas and manipulation. It's easy to sell them simple solutions to all problems and an enemy to blame, because it offers them what they crave most, a sense of belonging. So this sign isn't about just feeling down. It's about the breakdown of fundamental human connections. And without them, any society, no matter how technologically advanced, becomes nothing more than a crowd of strangers. The fifth horseman of the apocalypse might not be a horseman at all, but a line of code, an algorithm, And no, I'm not here to scare you with tales of robot uprisings and Skynet. The real threat from artificial intelligence is far more mundane, and precisely because of that, far more alarming. This is about mass automation, a world where millions of people could simply become obsolete. We fear robots with guns, but perhaps we should be more afraid of robots with cash registers, robot drivers, robot accountants, and even robot journalists. This process is already underway. Neural networks have learned to write texts, paint pictures, and program. Autonomous trucks are already undergoing tests on our roads. Automated systems are replacing call centre operators and analysts. And this is just the beginning. What does this mean for society? It's not just a matter of job loss, it's a matter of losing purpose. Throughout human history, work has been not only a source of income but also a foundation of self-identity. Who are you? I'm a doctor. I'm a teacher. I'm a builder. What happens when millions of people can no longer answer that question? Imagine a society where a vast portion of the population cannot find their place, where their skills and knowledge have become obsolete or irrelevant. This creates fertile ground for immense social tension, inequality, and despair. It's a ticking time bomb beneath the foundations of our social structure. Hollywood sold us the fear of a malevolent artificial intelligence bent on destroying us. But reality might prove to be far more ironic. AI could dismantle our civilization not out of malice, but simply due to its efficiency, simply because it will do our jobs better than we ever could. And for such a quiet economic apocalypse, we might be utterly unprepared. Moving on to our sixth point. Biologists sometimes refer to it as the silent apocalypse, and perhaps that's the most fitting description. We're talking about the sixth mass extinction event. Yes, you heard that right. Our planet has experienced 5 great extinction events in its history, times when life on Earth nearly vanished. The most famous of these is the one that wiped out the dinosaurs. Well, right now, before our very eyes, the 6th one is unfolding. And this time, the asteroid is us. The speed at which animals and plants are disappearing is simply staggering. By various estimates, it's hundreds, even thousands, of times faster than natural background rates. And we're not just talking about tigers and pandas whose images adorn conservation posters. We're talking about millions of lesser-known species, insects, fungi, bacteria, and ocean dwellers. It's tempting to say, so what? The world won't collapse if some rare beetle vanishes, but that's a catastrophic misconception. Imagine a complex mechanism that sustains life on the planet. It cleans water, creates fertile soil, regulates the climate. Every species, even the tiniest, is a cog or a gear in this mechanism. And we are now, at a frantic pace, pulling out these parts one by one without even understanding what they're responsible for. The simplest example is bees, another pollinating insects. Their disappearance might not sound as dramatic as a meteorite impact, but without them, the production of most of our food would be jeopardized. Apples, coffee, almonds, cucumbers. The list is enormous. The disappearance of plankton in the ocean could not only collapse marine food chains, but also impact the amount of oxygen we breathe. This is the silent apocalypse. It doesn't explode. It slowly fades away. We are losing biodiversity, our primary insurance policy against any future catastrophes. And this weakens the entire planetary system, making it vulnerable to any subsequent blow. And so we arrive at the final, and perhaps most psychologically insidious, indicator, the normalization of crisis. What exactly does this mean? It means we've become accustomed to everything. Think back 10 or 15 years ago. News of a major terrorist attack, a devastating hurricane, or an outbreak of an unknown disease was a global event. It commanded worldwide attention, evoking shock, sympathy, and a powerful urge to help. But what about now? Headlines about pandemics, wildfires decimating entire regions, localized wars, economic upheavals, they've all become mere background noise. We scroll past these stories in our feeds while sipping morning coffee, sandwiched between a cat photo and an ad for a new smartphone. Our brain is an incredible instrument, and its primary function is to protect us. When stress levels become constant and overwhelming, a protective mechanism kicks in. Apathy, emotional numbness. We simply stop reacting. Crisis is no longer something out of the ordinary. It's become the norm. We've grown accustomed to living in a state of permanent unease. We've adapted to a world that constantly seems to be falling apart at the seams. And therein lies the greatest danger. Because when anxiety becomes the norm, we cease to act. We no longer perceive these events as anomalies that demand our intervention. Instead, we accept them as a given. Like bad weather, we just have to wait out. It's akin to the frog in a pot of slowly heating water. It doesn't notice the gradual rise in temperature until it's too late. This normalization, this collective fatigue and apathy is the primary symptom of a deeper illness. It's a clear sign that the system is overloaded, a signal that we stand on the precipice of profound change. And the most terrifying part? We risk simply not noticing it. So what does all this mean? Is it time to build a bunker and stock up on canned goods? Hold on a moment. The most important and perhaps most unsettling conclusion to draw from all of this is something else entirely. The main and most shocking twist is this. The apocalypse isn't a sudden event. It's not a flash. It's a slow, creeping process. We've all been waiting for a dramatic grand finale, but it turns out to be a series of quiet, almost imperceptible changes, informational chaos, ecological triggers, economic instability, social alienation. These aren't merely harbingers of the apocalypse. This is it. The significance of this conclusion is immense. It changes everything. We're not waiting for the end of the world. We might, in fact, already be living in it. This doesn't mean everything will collapse tomorrow. It means the world as we knew it is slowly transforming into something else entirely. And the problem is, we're adapting to this decline, accepting it as the new normal. We're not fighting the dragon because we don't notice it burning pages one by one from the book of our civilization. We've looked at 7 alarming warning signs that indicate the world we're familiar with is cracking at the seams. And the main takeaway is that the apocalypse isn't some spectacular grand finale, but a slow process we risk missing entirely. Thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. If this topic has made you think, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next investigations. What signs of this slow apocalypse do you notice around you? Or perhaps you think this is all just scaremongering? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'm really curious to read what you think.